hello. My name is Lulu. Hopefully you are just coming from part 1 of this series. This is part 2. There's only 2 parts. Part 1 was about all the primers that I am tossing, that just didn't work for me. I have extremely oily skin. I have aging skin. Depending on the foundation I'm using, sometimes I want to use a primer that is pore refining because some foundations show pores, but I like them for other properties. Sometimes I need to use an oil or a mattifying primer. Again, maybe because of the weather. I'm just crazy about these things. So today, part 2 are the things that I absolutely know that I love. I've probably repurchased. If I run out, I would probably repurchase again. And then there's a pile that I simply just don't remember. I know that I use them, but I don't remember if they should be no's or not. And one thing I want to say is that I could call it a luxury. I could call it craziness. You decide. But when you have, I'm going to call it a luxury. Or maybe I should call it a craziness. Anyway, I own, of every category of makeup, I own a lot. I buy a lot, I own a lot, I love it, I love it, I love it. And when you have the, let's say, the benefit of buying a number of primers, you can tell which work and don't for you. Some of those no's I could have kept in part 1, but because I've been able to try these that you're about to see, I knew those could go. It's kind of like if you've only eaten at one Thai restaurant your entire, whatever in your neighborhood, you grow to like that restaurant, and then you travel or you move and you try another Thai restaurant and you're like, ew, or wow, what have I been missing? And it's the same with makeup. The more you try, the more you know what works for you and what doesn't. So you may look at one of these and say, oh my goodness, I have really oily skin. I can't believe that didn't work for her. But maybe you haven't tried these. So I hope that makes sense. And just hope that makes sense. So let's start with the pile that I just don't remember. So they're not no's, they're not yeses. I'm going to experiment with them at some point. Again, I, in general, don't like primers, even those that I'm keeping. I'm just not a primer person. I think blotting, I mentioned that in the first part, blotting is really, to me, an oily skinned person's best friend, more so than setting sprays or primers or foundation. I think blotting is the way to go. So there were 2 things, I think, just so confusing, that I was going to say no to. And then as I was doing my video, I said, no, maybe I'll keep them. One of them is the Feel the Moment. It is actually, it can be used for skincare. And the owner of the company, or previous owner, I think she has now sold to private investors, whatever, Jamie, said this is a great sealing or last step to the nighttime skincare routine. So I'm going to try that. Mostly because I love the smell. It's this very spa, lavender, eucalyptus. I just love that smell. So I'm going to try that and see if it's okay for me to do. Not okay for me, but if I enjoy it or not. The other thing that I'm keeping to try again is the Shine Stopper by Paula's Choice. It was in my yes pile. It gets confusing. So this. NYX Shine Killer, and it is NYX. Sometimes people go, it's an NYX. It's named after the goddess. It's either goddess of the night, goddess of the dark, goddess of midnight. So NYX is a goddess. It's her name, and goddess of the, but it's NYX. And this is Shine Killer. I feel like I have used it. I feel like it was okay. Don't know if it's better than my yes pile. So we'll give this a run for the money and see where it should land. This is an overall great primer. Again, a NYX product, Angel Veil. Many people, I'm not sure why, have said it's a dupe for Hourglass. I don't know. I have Hourglass. I love Hourglass. Hourglass is in my yes pile. As a matter of fact, I just finished Hourglass and I have it in my empties, my rubbish, for my next rubbish review. I think this is an all-around great primer. Is it better than the ones that I have? I don't think so, but I'm going to try it again. And actually, I'm going to try one side Hourglass and one side Angel Veil and do that with a few different foundations and see what I think. But I can see, you know, it's white, it's got that same consistency. I think Hourglass maybe is a little more liquidy. Maybe they both launched about the same time. I think the word veil, NYX is trying to use the word veil, and it's called Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer. So maybe they were trying to do, but I don't know. It's hard to say, but I'm gonna do that little experiment. This is very similar to the Hourglass and to the Angel Veil. This is Smashbox Photo Matte, that same consistency. So I'm going to do a side-by-side and see what I think about that. And again, that's how I decide to keep something. I use it on half my face, and on the other half, I either use a tried and true, this always works, or I don't use X product. And I try to see, what is it like when I first put it on? Are my pores blurred or not blurred? Do I look super matte on one side or the other? What do I look like an hour later once everything has had a chance to kind of meld? Is that a word? Meld, marry together. Look again a few hours later, look again later, and see at what point does it look different or does it not ever look different. That's how I do my little experiments. This is another one that is white, lotiony. It's Black Radiance, which is a sister company to Wet n Wild, and it is their mattifying primer. I recall using this and being, I think, disappointed that it wasn't as great as I had heard it was going to be. And so we'll see. You know, we're going to give it another run for the money. I have two Dr. Prant. This came as a set. One is very, almost like a bronzer, so you could wear it in the summer without any kind of foundation and get pore coverage. And then the normal one is tinted. I do like this better than Porefessional, Benefit Porefessional. I'm going to give them another try. I can't say that I love them. I think I like the Dior better, so I'm going to give them a try again. So there's that. This is this my newest one? Laura Geller had a huge sale. It was a friends and family sale, Mr. Rebates, coupons, codes. I think I got everything at 70% off. I think I bought like $150 worth of, you know, if I went to Ulta and bought it, and I think I paid $40. It's somewhere on my Facebook page. But this might be her newest primer. It's the mattifying spackle. Laura Geller, in general, her primers have not worked for me. I know she's kind of the queen of primers. Some people might say that award should go to Smashbox. But they've just never really worked for me in terms of just at all. But she finally came out with a mattifying one. I used it once, which is unusual, and I was not happy with it. So I was kind of having one of those moments where I don't like primers. Why am I bothering? So I'm going to give it a fair shot and give it a true run. And I remember nothing about this. This is Murad. This is their mattifying, their matte finish skin perfecting primer. I just completely, as a matter of fact, it's skin tinted. It feels nice. Well, it doesn't need a lot. Disperses nicely on the skin. I just completely do not remember. Anyway, so I'm going to try that again. Feels good though. Doesn't feel slimy, doesn't feel silicone-y, just feels nice. So I'm going to try that again. And then I got I think CoverFX was doing samples forever on Sephora of all of their primers, as well as Makeup Forever, which I have here too. And I recall using them and going, oh, what's the big deal? I think there was a lot of PR sent out for both of these. And so maybe it was being overhyped because you really don't hear about them anymore. Have you noticed? So I'm going to try them both again and see what I think. Sephora, I need to try again. Again, it's a lotiony white, very much, I think, probably more like Hourglass in terms of consistency, but I don't recall liking it as much. So I need to really make a decision about this because you use, you know, so little primer. I want to try the Garnier 5-second blur under my eyes. So not as a primer, but literally as a blur factor. I've heard many good things about it, particularly from, I believe it's Miss Kristen 321. Is it her? I think so, that really likes to use it under the eyes. I mean, I just have road maps of hash marks under my eyes. And right now I just try to keep them moisturized all day long by pressing eye cream on over my concealer throughout the day. But I want to see how this goes. And kind of the counterpart to it, although I feel like L'Oreal has another one that's a maroon. Maybe this was it and now it's in maroon, but this is Pore Vanisher. I think they both launched about the same time, L'Oreal and Garnier, in terms of blurring products. So those are, I think those are all of those. Oh, and I have this one. It's a sample, so I have no opinion of it. I have to try it. It's called Pore Medic, and it's a pore minimizing primer by Dr. Jart, which is Korean skincare. So those, I believe, are those that I'm not keeping. Now, I do want to remind you, you have to go to part 1, because I don't want to get confused, because, you know, I get confused easily. I'm having a giveaway on primers that are still sealed, and I know that I don't want them. One of them is a mini of the Dr. Brandt Pores No More. It's tinted. You press it in, just like you do any pore minimizing primer. You usually have to press them in rather than wipe. And so this is sealed. This is the Laura Geller Hydrating Primer, Spackle. It is sealed. It came in a kit, so I had no choice, and, you know, I didn't get it. And this is also sealed, and this is Amazing Cosmetics. This is very reminiscent of Smashbox, which I loved when I had dry skin. I had dry skin for quite a few years, and I loved the original Smashbox primer back then. And this is very reminiscent of that. The Benefit Pore Professional, we probably all have a zillion samples of these. They seem to give, do they ever have to sell a full size? There are so many samples out there. And this came in a duo. This is the IT number 50 Serum Collagen Primer. It's an anti-aging primer. I have not used this one. There's a second one that I did use and then gave it to someone because it just wasn't for me. And this is the other one in the set. Or maybe I sold. I feel like I've had so many of these. I think they were coming in kits for a while, or I just feel like I've had these over. Like every time I look, there's another one. So this is new. So this is a giveaway. Go to part 1. All you need to do is say, yeah, I want to be in the giveaway. Keep in mind, I don't ship very quickly. Never have, but you will get it. I promise. Okay, these are the ones that I really like, have repurchased, would recommend. Now, the only exception is this one. It's Laura Geller Spackle in Ethereal. The only reason I keep this one is of all the glittery, you'll see them, or sheeny, luminous ones, you'll see them in part 1. This one is the best one for me to mix with my ultra matte foundations, such as Marc Jacobs Remarkable, Kat Von D Lock-It, a few others that are just so matte that, you know, you look almost dead in them, but the coverage is great and they last forever and ever. So I'm not saying I love this one, but this is the one I chose to keep to give those very matte foundations a little life. This is by Dermalogical, which I think is a fabulous skincare line. And this is the matte moisturizer. So I do use moisturizer. Oily skin must use moisturizer. You want to use oil-free moisturizer when possible. And so I do like this oil-free matte moisturizer. This is a sample size, but I have been really enjoying it. And then I'm going to show these two together. I mentioned this, I think, in my first part 1. This one is by Pure Minerals, which of course is rebranded and is now, I think, just Pure Cosmetics. And it's a correcting. This one is a green color, so it corrects redness. And this is the Primetime Neutralizer, which is a yellowish color. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this on camera. You can kind of see it's a little yellowy. I don't know what it is about these two. They don't claim to mattify. They don't claim to be pore minimizing, but whatever it is that pigments these, I don't know if it's clay. I have no idea. I don't know if it's minerals, if it's clay, but they are fabulous for mattifying. And I will say this once, I will say this twice. Does anything keep me matte for 10 hours? Absolutely not. I love to blot. I must blot. No matter what, I blot. But these help it go that much longer. Really like these. Okay, these are both Rachel K. They are not sold in the United States anymore. High coverage, very high coverage. I do not like to use these with a liquid foundation because I feel like I just have too much. These are very coverage. They're CC creams, BB creams, whatever they're called. They have coverage. They don't come in colors at all, but they are very nice. They do keep you matte. They're wonderful on the pores. They're really great if you're using a powder foundation and you feel it's one that you like the finish of, whatever, but you don't get enough coverage. These are great. So keeping both of those. Love this Dior Pore Minimizer. How can I get it to show? There we go, kind of. Is it showing? I love it. It's not too liquidy, it's not too thick, it slides on. It's not one of those where you have to pat in. I always like to pat it in, but it's fine if you put it on. It doesn't ball up. A lot of pore minimizer primers will ball up if you try to do this. They're just too thick. This one you don't have to baby, you don't have to be careful with. It keeps me matte. Again, I'm a broken record. I'm not saying it keeps me matte forever, but I love this primer. And I also love, very similarly, the Lancome La Base Pore Eraser. And I also have, and why isn't it here? I have the regular primer of Lancome, and I love it. And why isn't it here? Oh well, love this one as well. My all-time favorite for oily skin as a primer is the Jouer Matte Moisture Tint. For most occasions, on most days, with most of my foundations, if I'm going to use a primer, again, even though I have yeses, it's not saying I love primers, this is fabulous. This is just fabulous. So, a little spendy. I love it. This one almost went in the no pile because it is so fussy. It's Boots number 7. Does anyone say Boots? Am I just supposed to say number 7? Beautifully matte makeup base. It is so fussy. This one is fussy and the Becca is fussy. This is Becca Evermatte. You have to really press these or they will ball up. And then you have to also be careful on how you apply your foundation. Best to use a beauty blender or your fingers and just keep patting out your foundation. If not, your foundation will ball up. This one does not like to play with many sunscreens. This one is just fussy, but it is absolutely, positively the most matte primer ever. This one is a really good second place. The reason I like Jouer is it's not fussy. I can just use it. So these are really great. And again, I have a ton of foundations. So certain foundations I like with certain primers. I'm crazy that way. You know, I keep spreadsheets on these things because I lead such an exciting life. And this one is almost one in the no pile because it's just it's so fussy. But there are days when it's 100 degrees out and the humidity is 100, and that does happen in Chicago every once in a while. And of course, it happens to be the day that I'm going to an outside wedding, a garden wedding. This is it. This is absolutely it. So the Becca Evermatte, and they come, it's nice. You can get the Becca in a smaller size at both Ulta and Sephora and see if you like it because it's a little spendy. My favorite did I say that already? My two favorite pore minimizing are the Clinique. This is part of their Pore Refining Solutions line, and this is the Pore Perfector. Is it Instant? Instant Perfector. Again, I like this better than the Benefit. It's very similar, but for some reason this works better on me. Maybe Benefit is better for even bigger pores. I don't know, but I like this one. I like this one a lot. And this one is Clarins Instant Smooth Perfecting Touch. It's more of almost a solid, and you do press it in. This lasts forever. I mean, it hides my pores. Even if my oil is breaking through, this is still hiding my pores. I love this one. Wayne Goss recommended this one. This is by Jane Iredale. It's called Absence. Isn't that a great name? And it's an oil controlling primer. It's very similar in texture to this. It's a solid, kind of, sort of, not really, but reminds me a little bit of Malley's Face Defender, which is a mattifier during the day. You tap it on. And this one has a floral scent, and it's what is this, jasmine or honeysuckle? So if you like scent, you know, it's fine for me, but it might be horrible to you. But this is in fact very, it leaves a little bit of a white cast. I don't know if you can see that. It's white. So you really need to, you know, but it's easy to smooth on. It's not balling up at all. It's really nice. So this one, it's spendy, another spendy one, but very nice. Lingering scent. So if you can sniff it first. I think this should be in everybody's collection of pores or oiliness. This is the Smashbox Pore Minimizer. I think it's fabulous. I like it all the way around. Probably more than, this reminds me of Hourglass. I've made Hourglass the gold standard, have you noticed? Speaking of Hourglass, my last sample, I have to buy a full size. I'm going to buy it during the VIB sale coming up. I just finished one. Luckily, I have a sample, but this is just Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer. I love it. Love it. I also like this one, which is surprising because it's kind of a thick silicone-like, but when you put it on, it doesn't feel that way. It's the Murad Invisiblur Perfecting Shield. It's an SPF. It's an SPF 30, and it's fabulous for that. I always use a separate SPF product, so if I can get it in a primer or a moisturizer or my foundation, that's great, but I always use a separate SPF product. I happen to love the one by Paula's Joy's Light Daily Defense Resist Wrinkle Defense Resist. It's part of the Resist line. Wrinkle Defense Light SPF 30, whatever. And this is nice. This really goes on smooth, smooths your pores. I like this. I haven't heard too many people talking about this. The Prime Time, this is also a nice SPF product. It's by Bare Minerals. And I use this one a lot as a secondary SPF, and it also happens to mattify, which is nice. It mattifies. Again, not sold as that, but it has antioxidants. If you watch my skincare series, you got to do the antioxidants, as many as you can, whenever you can, and all kinds, because they all do different things for your skin or protect your skin in different ways. And finally, this is by Serious Skincare. You buy it on HSN. This is, what's his name? Rocky's wife, Jennifer Stallone, owns this company along with some other investors. Anyway, and this is called Pretty Fast. This is as blurring can get. It unfortunately doesn't keep me matte, but it is so blurring. So if you have some really big pore issues and you're not too worried about being oily, if you can track this down, I don't know, eBay, a lot of people buy kits, you know, from QVC and Evine and HSN, and then they separate them and they sell them individually. Actually, that's how I bought this one. And it's very blurring. So there you go. There's part 2 of those that I absolutely am keeping and why. Those that I just don't remember, and I'm going to see if I like them or not. If you have questions, if you have suggestions, anything at all, please below write your comments. Go to part 1, enter the giveaway, and see what I'm tossing. Not even looking back, just tossed. And I wish you all a great day, morning, evening, week, whatever it is. And thank you for stopping by, and you're going to see me again soon, maybe with my foundation collection, the infamous foundation collection. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.